We've all been there. You tell a friend about a problem, and instantly you're hit with a barrage of solutions. You should do this. You need to do that. It's well-meaning, but chaotic, overwhelming, and ineffective. Compare that to sitting across from a licensed professional. The frantic energy is gone. The space is quiet, the listening is active, and the conversation moves with clear intentionality. Counseling operates as a rigid discipline, built on defined processes, theoretical engines, and legal mandates. Today, we are going to synthesize an entire semester of counseling frameworks into a single interconnected mental model. We'll call it the counseling matrix. But to build this model accurately, a practitioner first has to understand exactly where their intervention begins and ends. The helping profession is divided into 3 levels: guidance, counseling, and psychotherapy. Guidance is the broad foundation for holistic growth.
Counseling is the professional middle tier, resolving specific, active problems. Psychotherapy is the peak, targeting severe, deeply embedded psychological issues. Crossing these tiers without the correct training constitutes a professional failure and a danger to the client. For our matrix, we are focusing exclusively on the mechanics of the middle tier, counseling. A counseling session uses a linear 4-stage procedural architecture. Stage 1 is building the relationship, the absolute prerequisite to establish trust. Stage 2 is problem exploration, where the counselor systematically gathers data to understand the client's internal world. Moving a client from a state of closed-off anxiety in Stage 1 to open exploration in Stage 2 doesn't happen by accident. It requires the execution of highly specific microskills. To gather data, counselors deploy techniques: attending to show presence, questioning to extract details, and minimal encouragers to keep the client talking. Then, summarizing and focusing organizes raw data into actionable themes. Finally, the process moves to Stage 3, action, and Stage 4, termination. This 4-stage flowchart provides the skeletal structure of the counseling encounter. However, having a mere sequence of steps is fundamentally different from knowing how to help a human change. Without a psychological theory to interpret the client's experiences, these stages remain a set of empty mechanical procedures. This brings us to psychologist Carl Rogers. Rogers argued that the client, not the counselor, is the primary focus and the true expert of their own life. He rejected the top-down medical model, where the doctor dictates the exact cure. Instead, he created a horizontal, person-centered dynamic, where the counselor acts as a facilitator for the client's own self-discovery. Rogers' theory provides 3 core conditions. 1 is unconditional positive regard, absolute, non-judgmental acceptance of the client. 2 is empathy, the rigorous work to perceive the client's internal frame of reference. 3 is genuineness. The counselor must be an authentic, transparent human being. These 3 conditions generate the necessary psychological environment. When a client feels accepted, understood, and met with authenticity, their defenses drop. That is the moment the microskills from stages 1 and 2 actually become effective. Applying microskills without this Rogerian foundation is manipulation. The theory is what makes the mechanical process therapeutic. But psychological intervention carries inherent risk. Opening a client's emotional wounds without proper containment can cause deep, lasting damage. This is why the profession in Malaysia is governed by the Counselor Act 1998, also known as Act 580. Act 580 acts as a legal perimeter. The first boundary is confidentiality. Information stays within the session. The second is informed consent. Clients have the right to understand the process before intervention. The third is professional boundaries, prohibiting dual relationships to ensure objective integrity. Act 580 secures the Rogerian environment against outside interference, creating a safe container for the 4-stage process to occur. Look at the complete counseling matrix. A client enters through the legal gate of informed consent, lands on the supporting Rogerian foundation, and is guided through the 4 stages of the process. Removing any single component causes the entire clinical intervention to collapse. This complete simultaneous integration is the exact line that separates a licensed professional from a layperson offering friendly advice. For those preparing for exams and upcoming practicums, this structure is your primary tool. Use this matrix as a mental mind map to structure your essay answers, exactly as the syllabus demands. When you're presented with a case study question, Analyze the problem through all three lenses: the legal guardrails of Act 580, the theoretical conditions of Rogers, and the precise procedural steps. Review your core texts, Sapora-Sippin, Corey, and Gladding, and practice comparing this Rogerian baseline against other theoretical approaches. Mastering this matrix provides the blueprint for becoming a competent, ethical, and effective professional counselor.